everyone here. Let me know if it's showing on your end. All right, perfect. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Matthews, for joining us today for the guest virtual speaker event that we're hosting. Given the time slots, this video will probably go out sooner than later, just for students that weren't able to join us today will have the ability to access the video on our platform. Just a little words here from Dylan Mattews so the students can understand who this individual is right now. So Dylan Mattews is a 4-time graduate of FIU with bachelor's degree in criminal justice and psychology and master's degree in criminal justice and public administration. Additionally, he is a current PhD candidate in the International Crime and Justice Program. Mr. Matthews' dissertation focuses on identifying the relationship between opioid-related overdose incidents and drug-related arrests. And recently, he has been promoted to the role of Senior Program Coordinator to better serve the FIU community by helping students navigate the graduate student process. And in the past year, he served as one of the 3 university graduate school writing fellows, where he coached fellow graduate students to improve their academic and scholarly writing. So we can already attest from there that you have a lot of accolades to your name. You've been a full-fledged Panther student and Panther Pride for a good amount of time.
Yeah, definitely.
So Dylan, thank you for being here once more. It's an amazing opportunity to enter a graduate program, especially here at FIU. And I would just love to learn about that, especially to the students here.
Certainly. Thank you, Ippolito, for inviting me and, inviting me to come and discuss with you all.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everyone, Consuelo, and whoever may be seeing this recording. My name is Dylan Mattews. I am the senior, as Ippolito said, I'm the senior program coordinator. So what does that mean? I'm the senior program coordinator for the Department of Criminology and Criminal Justice here at FIU. So basically what that means is that I'm going to be the person who is kind of like the graduate advisor for our students in the Masters of Criminal Justice program, the PhD in International Crime and Justice, as well as those students interested in the 4+1 program. So bridging you from the bachelor's to the master's degree program, with hopefully saving you some time in the process, right? So first question, why should you attend graduate school? And the simple answer is, what do you want to get out of it, right? I'm sure that in Alpha Phi Sigma, a lot of you are interested in law school maybe, or law enforcement. So you might ask yourself, well, what's the point of getting a master's in criminal justice? And to be honest, I'm going to tell you completely honestly, if you want to be a lawyer, go to law school. If you want to maybe perhaps distinguish yourself amongst other professionals in your rank, whether that's in law enforcement or in law school, that's when you would possibly want to get a master's degree, right? But let's say you're really interested in research or you're interested in policy, right? That's where going into the master's or the PhD is really going to benefit you the most, right? So with that being said, it's kind of like, if you don't want to be a lawyer, why are you going to law school? The same thing kind of applies here for a master's or a PhD in criminal justice for that matter. If you don't want to go into research, there's really no point, so to speak, direct point, if you're not included in that, right? So, but there are ways in which you can use your master's degree, like I said, to distinguish yourself from other people in your jobs or fields or anything like that. So for example, I know that depending on the agency and law enforcement agencies, somebody with a master's degree might start out as a different rank, and it also improves the pay rate that they might have starting out, and then so on and so forth that moves up, right? I think another thing to point out, what helps with a master's degree. A master's degree, at least here at FIU, is more or less a 3-year program, 2 to 3 year program, depending on how many classes you take at a single time, right? And it's fairly doable. It's feasible. It's not a daunting task. We don't require a master's thesis. There's no extra writing right like that. The program can be completed online. When it comes to the PhD, it's a little bit different. It's a whole lot more credits, a whole lot more courses, but there is some overlap. So, for example, let's say you wanted to do the master's degree and you decided that, you know what, maybe these courses aren't too difficult. I want to move into, the PhD. We can figure out a way to get you to apply accordingly and then move those classes over to apply towards the PhD program. And that's a good way to kind of get your feet wet and see if it is graduate school for me, is a PhD for me. Before we get into anything else, I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen. That way you can, if you could enable it for me.
There you go. I should have made you
Perfect.
co-host.
Awesome.
But I just
So,
wanted to add, in the student perspective, going into a graduates program, it's a way to just, like you mentioned before, separate you from the rest, especially in a competitive field of work. Let's say you're trying to go into federal law enforcement, public relations, civil service. You want to stand out from the rest, especially in these competitive fields. So having a master's degree brings you some basis of having research done already, which is very valuable when it comes to your critical thinking skills. But it's an ability for you to have an accolade, a title already attached to you before you enter the job force.
no, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Not trying to undersell a master's degree or anything, but for the most part, in a lot of our fields, whether that's law enforcement, FBI, CIA, anything like that, a lot of these individuals don't have master's degrees, right? These are people that are recruited for their experience, or they're recruited for a necessary set of skills that they have, right? So when you come in with a master's degree, they're kind of expecting you to kind of be the person that, you know, again, you don't necessarily have the skills that they might be looking for, but what your expertise is the policy, it's the measurement analysis, it's looking at the big picture and trying to piece out all of these minor details, right?
Mhm.
That's what's going to differentiate you. The degree's not going to be the thing that gets you into your dream job. What's going to get you into your dream job is how you sell yourself and how you use that master's degree to build upon, your resume and things like that, right?
Exactly. 100%
So
agree.
what I want to get into, I want to show you all how to verify and look at the information necessary to, apply to these programs. So the first thing that you should always do is go to this website, ccj.fiu.edu. I say go to this website because this website is going to be updated whenever there's an academic change. I could show you a PowerPoint with information, but who knows if that information is going to be relevant the year or 2 years from now that some of you all might be thinking about applying to these programs. So at any point, always go to this website, ccj.fiu.edu. You'll go over to programs. You'll see this nice little drop-down menu. You'll see MS in criminal justice, PhD in international crime and justice, as well as the MSCJ, or I'm sorry, the accelerated bachelor's. Before we jump into any of these, I'm just going to get you started with the master's program. All right. When you click this page, it looks a little bare. You see my contact information there. You can reach out to me if you have any questions. But for the most part, you're going to click on these drop down menus, right? And this drop down menu is going to talk about what you need to apply to the program. So you can see here that the basic minimum requirements, you're going to need some sort of bachelor's degree. Does not have to be in criminal justice. Get that question a lot. Hey, Mr. Matthews, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. Can I apply to the program? Absolutely. It does not matter what bachelor's degree you have, or what bachelor's degree you are receiving. Have a recent applicant that has a bachelor's degree in hospitality. We're really excited that this person, is, considering this field, right? Next thing we have here is a minimum GPA of a 3.2 or higher in upper division coursework. You're going to ask yourself, how do I figure that out? How do you all know that? when you upload your transcript or when you have an FIU transcript, the graduate admissions office, they automatically calculate your 60 credits of upper division coursework, and they create a separate GPA just looking at how you did in those upper division coursework. And you might say, but I have a 4.0, how does like, or not even, let's say you say, I have a 3.5, I should be able to get in. We want to make sure that we're not looking at, every now and then students might have, those first 2 years where they're adjusting to the college experience, right? So maybe they didn't do so well in finite math. Maybe they didn't do so well in chemistry or biology. Maybe
Mhm.
you thought you were going to be a biology major and then realized about a year and, man, this isn't for me, right? So that's why we're not looking at those first 2 years of courses and why we're interested in those upper division, what is probably going to be more reflective of who you are as a scholar at this point in time, right? The other thing that is kind of a non-negotiable is having a grade of B or better in an undergraduate research methods course. We prefer a criminal justice research methods course. But let's say, again, you're a psychology major and you've taken those research methods courses. By all means, that will count. If you've taken public administration's research methods, that will count. Again, you need a grade of B or better. This is one of those things where um, if you don't have it and you're interested in this program, you're going to get an email from me that you don't want to hear, and that's that you should retake another research methods course that's upper division, and that you get a B or better in that course. I'm going to assume that for most of us, we're not going to be international students, but just in case, if you are from a country where English is not the dominant language, you as an international applicant will have to demonstrate English language proficiency. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You can go to the UGS website, University Graduate School, and they tell you what countries are allowed, what countries aren't allowed. And then you can see here all the different types of tests that our department accepts. So if you look on here, where is it? I was going to say Duolingo recently was added to this. So you can actually get, I forget what the score is on a Duolingo exam for a particular test, and they will count that. The TOEFL is kind of like the more traditional foreign language test that people take. It costs a couple $100 to take, but probably the easiest one. Not easiest, I shouldn't say that. I have no idea. But what I mean to say is that it's the more common one, right?
So make sure not to skip on those Duolingo sessions. You never know when it will help you.
Exactly. If you're an international student, of course.
Hmm.
Um, with that being said, when you apply, you're going to click this link. This link is going to take you to the University Graduate School's online graduate portal. You're going to create a user ID and a password. Chances are, if you're a student of FIU, you probably already have a user ID, and then you'll just have to create a password. You'll go in there and you'll start the application process. There is an application fee that you'll have to pay in order to have your application processed. But I want to warn you, there's no point in paying a fee if you don't do these other mandatory documents, right? You're basically submitting an empty thing.
Hmm.
If you look for the master's degree program, we accept for every semester. So fall, spring, summer. And you can see these deadlines. These are the deadlines the semester prior to the semester that you intend to start. So let's say you're graduating in spring and you want to start in the fall or summer. You got to make sure that your application is in by June 1st for the fall, or March 1st if you wanted to start that summer, right?
Now, Mr.
Uh,
Matthews, would you consider
yes, sir.
these hard deadlines or soft deadlines for these
So these are absolutely
application?
hard deadlines to
Mhm.
start your application.
Okay.
If your application is not started and the fee is not paid for, you will have to go over to the next semester.
Okay.
These are not deadlines instituted by our department. These are deadlines by the university graduate school. So we don't even get to say on who we can accept early or anything
Hmm.
like that. Um, what is sought though are these official documents that you need. Generally speaking, you have to apply. Let's say you wanted to start by fall. You have to apply by June 1st, but you have until July 1st, 30 calendar days to make sure that all of your documents are in, right? The first document, your official university college transcripts. This is going to, chances are, if you're a FIU student, that transcript is already going to be there. So you have nothing to worry about. That's one of the four out of the way, done, you got it. If you're coming into FIU for the first time, and let's say maybe you got an associate's degree for someone else, chances are that degree's already on file with FIU. So just double check, right? You're going to need 3 letters of recommendation. These can be from professors, employers, anyone that's familiar with you and can comment on your professional knowledge, but also your skills and abilities. Don't send me a recommendation letter from your mother or father. Believe it or not, that happens.
Really? Wow.
um, make sure that it's somebody that you work with. Make sure that it's
Mhm,
a faculty that you've taken a class with, that you are interested in working with in the future, or just simply enjoyed their class, right?
mhm.
Doesn't hurt to talk to adjuncts also. Let's see. You're going to write a statement of purpose. Some of you might be thinking, well, what's that? What's a statement of purpose? Think of it as kind of like a 1 to 2 page document where you're talking about kind of the reason why you want an advanced degree, what your research interests are, and what your career plans are. Very straightforward. You can Google search, how to write a good statement of purpose, but make sure that you address each of these 3 things: why you want the degree, what your interests are, and what are your career plans. Because believe it or not, those ideas will factor in to whether we think we're not just going to accept you because you applied, or that you ranked well. If we see in your statement of purpose that what you're looking for, maybe you really want to be a lawyer, but you want this like prior, like, we're not going to take you just to take your money, right? We want to make sure that this is a good fit for you also. And then the last part, written work. And the idea for this written work is that we really want to see, maybe perhaps you've completed some sort of research paper, and that it demonstrates your writing skills. So don't submit the paper you wrote for ENC 1101. Maybe you want to submit the work that you did for research methods, or your senior
Mhm.
capstone, or I don't know, you took Homeland Security or the terrorism class, right? And you're really proud of that paper. Submit that. Um, it does not have to be exactly the paper you submitted for a class. In fact, I almost encourage you to take your favorite paper that you've looked at and actually tweak it, make it
Mhm.
better, right? Your professor probably gave you feedback or some sort of grade. And so you know what works, what doesn't work, how it can be fixed, right? Make sure the citations are good. Good citations are going to make your paper stand out on top of everything else, right?
Just another thing, a quick note for students that may be having troubles with the writing or want to get it verified or like peer review. FIU also has the Center of Excellence in Writing. That is the CEW for any, and they have free tutoring sessions for 30 minutes for undergrad and graduate students. You can go there, set up what you want to be doing tutoring sessions for. They can help you with those statements, with research papers that you've already done. It's an amazing tool that I highly recommend that any student with any issues in writing can go for.
And remember that the Center for Excellence of Writing is just to the right of the Starbucks in
Yes,
the library. So it's very
exactly.
easy to find. Definitely recommend it. Um, let's talk about the program itself. So you can see here that the program is 36 credit hours. And that sounds like a lot, but really and truly, it's only 12 courses. So not too much. If you do the math, uh, full-time, uh, a full-time graduate student, believe it or not, is 9 credits and part-time is 6. So if you think about it that way, if you're taking 9 credits per semester, that comes out to, let's say, uh, yeah, three courses per semester. You can get this done in almost 4 semesters, right? If you wanted to go full time like that. Typically, what we see is students take 2 classes at a time because at the graduate level, they are a bit more demanding. It's not uncommon for a student to take just 2 courses at the beginning. And if they wanted to do 3 courses at a time, they absolutely could. But we don't recommend more than 3 courses per semester. So with that being said, there's 6 core courses, which comes out to about half the program. Then we require 4 courses as criminal justice electives, and then 2 additional general elective courses. Now, let's say you really wanted to take just criminal justice electives, we can count those towards general electives. But we do encourage you, excuse me, to look outside of the program to see if there's a course that perhaps is relevant to your interests, right? Let's say there was a psychology course or a math course, even. Maybe you were interested in environmental crime. So maybe you want to take an environmental course. Big thing that we're seeing right now is GIS courses from other departments because our department only really has the 1 undergrad and the 1 graduate class. Um, so yeah, go ahead and look at what's available to you. You can see here what the core courses are. You can take them in any order in which they're offered, except for the final one, criminal justice policy analysis. That one we do require that you have 15 credits of criminal justice courses already done, right? When it comes to the criminal justice electives, let's say there's about 12 graduate courses offered every semester. I would say about 4 to 5 of them are core courses, and then the rest are electives. So there's definitely plenty to choose from. And then again, general electives, we've already talked about that. Oh, your general electives do have to be a course 5,000 or higher. They will have to be approved by myself or whoever happens to be the senior program coordinator when you come in. Hope it's me. Hope they don't fire me just yet. What do you need to graduate? Graduation is pretty easy. Finish all these courses and have a GPA of a 3.0 or higher. Fairly straightforward. Any questions about them?
Just to add, students might look at the 3.0 GPA and be like, oh, that's bare minimum. But these classes, like you mentioned, they are hard. They're demanding. It takes some time and effort to actually complete them, and the coursework can be a lot more difficult and demanding than undergraduates. Take it seriously, if I would add.
Yeah. Just because this is a GPA, a cumulative 3.0 GPA. So if you get 1 or 2 C's, chances are you're going to be fine, right? The goal is just to make sure that you get A's and B's, and if you get the occasional C, you'll be fine. But again, it does happen where some students finish all the classes and they got a few too many C's, and so they're below that 3.0. And unfortunately, we can't graduate you. It's not part of our guidelines. It's actually the university regulations that constitute a master's degree.
And I just wanted to add that this master's degree is virtually as well. Virtual?
Correct. This degree can be completed fully online or a bit mixed.
Hybrid. Yeah, hybrid.
Right.
So there's a lot of flexibility in it.
Exactly. That being said, I will jump into the accelerated program just while we're on the topic of the master's. So for some of you, you might be already trying to receive a bachelor's of science in criminal justice. And then for others who do not have or are not currently a bachelor's of science in criminal justice student, you might go this path, the 4+1. So crime science majors, this would probably be the option for you. Virtually the programs are the same and the requirements are the same. Um, for these, we are, again, they're looking at, oh, I should say, when you're trying to apply to this program, the reason why you would want to do this is because if you look at the completion requirements, in lieu of some of your general elective requirements for your bachelor's program, we're going to allow you to take up to 4 graduate courses of those courses that we already listed in the master's program. And from those courses, you'll need to earn a B or better in them. You can see it here. And then those 4 courses will be applied to your master's program. So if you do the math, 4 courses out of 36 credits, that brings it down to just 8 courses that you'll have to complete in order to achieve the Master's of Science in Criminal Justice. So it saves you, anywhere from 6 months to, depending on how you look at it, 6 months to 2 semesters more or less, right? So that's the benefit of doing about the accelerated program. From there, you do need, like I said, you do need to earn a B or better in those courses in order for them to count towards the master's degree, right? When you apply to one of these programs, either the combined or the 4+1 program, you will have needed to have completed 75 credits. I get this question a lot. Oh, I will have earned 75 credits this semester. Can I apply? And I'm going to tell you no. Wait until you have 75 credits earned completely, and then you apply. So you have the 75 credits. That waiting semester is the semester you apply, and the hope is that you start the following semester, right? So the timing in which you apply is very important. For here, instead of looking at your just your upper division, we are going to look at your cumulative GPA and make sure that it's a 3.2 or higher. And then again, you need to have that B or better in any sort of research methods course, right? The application and documents are the same exact thing for the master's. The only little difference is that in your statement of purpose, we ask that you say why you want to pursue this particular program. But we also ask you about your research interests and your career plans as well. We're looking at your written work. And again, you still need the 3 letters of recommendation. Any questions about this program before we move on to the PhD?
I wanted to highlight that last excerpt, if you go down, that if you join another master's program portion of it.
Mhm.
So just to keep in mind, if any students here, active participation in this pathway will be canceled if students apply and are admitted to another graduate program at FIU.
So thank you for pointing that out, Ippolito. Yes, FIU, unless you are in a specific dual program, you can only pursue one type of graduate degree at a time, as per university standards, or I should say university regulations. So that being said, don't apply to this. And then, let's say you finish your four semester, your 4 classes, and then you want to go on and get your MBA, your business administration degree. And let's say your chances are the MBA won't accept you because you're in a program already. But let's say for whatever reason you do get accepted into another one, this one will be canceled. You can't pursue 2 masters at the same time unless it's a dual program. So for example, here we have the MSCJ and MPA dual program. I don't want to spend too much time on this, just because we generally don't recommend it for every student, because it turns, your 2-year program into possibly 3 or 4 years, because again, you are completing 2 degree programs. But for this one, you'll need to apply to both the MSCJ and the Masters of Public Administration separately and be accepted during the same semester. So it gets a little complicated, and you have to indicate on your When you go through the application, it says that you can indicate that that's what you're planning on doing. So then you go ahead and you do that, right? If anybody is interested in this program specifically, just send me an email and we'll arrange an appointment so that way I can go into more detail. Again, don't want to spend too much time on this program just because it's not ideal. And that's coming from somebody who did it themselves.
Oh,
Not trying to dissuade anybody, just know that it is more work. And again, if your idea is just to kind of, get in and get out with your master's degree in as little time as possible, this is not the program you want to do. So with that being said, I'll go on to the PhD. So PhD, what differentiates a master's from a PhD? And the way I like to break it down is this. In your bachelor's degree, you're learning new knowledge, right? You're trying to get up to speed on the current knowledge that's available. When you go into your master's degree, you're learning how to put into practice that knowledge. How does that knowledge that you learn look like in the real world? Then when you get into your PhD, how do you create new knowledge, right? This is the next step. It's not just taking in information. It's how do you create new knowledge? How do you become the person in the textbook that you're reading about, right? How do you get your name cited in the textbooks or in the research that's going on, right? So that's kind of where we're at. With this PhD in international crime and justice, by the time we're accepting applications for the fall semester, we will be allowing the PhD to be completed fully online for the very first time. That was a big no-no in the past, but we've recently been asked to change the way in which the university does PhDs. So now we are allowing fully online students to attend for the very first time. Unless you are an international student, I must say that. And the stipulations for international students are still the same. You must take 2 courses in person every semester. So not the same, but for any domestic students or in the United States students, I should say, you can complete the program fully online. So applying to the program is very similar to the master's program in the sense that you need a bachelor's from any institution, any bachelor's degree. You need that upper division 3.2. You need a grade of B or better in a research methods course. It says undergraduate or graduate. What does this mean? For the PhD, you actually do not need a master's degree to apply. You can come straight into the PhD with a bachelor's. That's not the case in every PhD program, but it is the case in our PhD program, right? You can see here in the required documents, everything is pretty much the same. Official university transcripts, we do only require 2 letters of recommendation for the PhD. But that's because your statement of purpose is going to be a little bit longer and the completed research paper or thesis is going to be looked at a little bit more stringently, right? We're going to see, okay, does this person know what they're talking about? Things like that. What are the degree requirements? You can see here that the core courses alone is 30 credits. That's 10 courses of core courses, right? A lot of these you will see overlap with the master's degree program. And so you can see that a lot of even what might be considered criminal justice elective in the master's program might be a core course in the PhD program. So you're not at a disadvantage if you do the master's and then the PhD. In fact, after your first semester in the PhD program, if you have a master's degree, we'll actually look at your transferable courses and you can transfer up to 27 credits. That's just below 50%. So a lot of students have taken advantage of that. After they got their master's, they're like, you know what? I think I could do the PhD. I've learned enough from the faculty that I want to move forward and start creating my own knowledge, right? So they'll go ahead and they'll do that. They'll apply separately and they'll already be starting with 27 credits. So 9 courses kind of already done. So again, 10 core courses, a research tool requirement. So this is going to be 9 credits or 3 courses. These are going to be, think of these as general electives, but more specific. They need to include some sort of quantitative analysis, some type of legal research, grant writing, qualitative research, program evaluation, learning about performance indicators or performance measures, survey research or design, or any type of secondary analysis. These courses, we want you to explore other options that are outside of our department that might be relevant to the research style that you're trying to do, right? So some students might take a GIS course to satisfy this. They might take I have a colleague right now who's enrolled in qualitative research methods, so doing like interviews, and they're taking that through the education department, learning how to work with children and elicit interviews that way, right? So we do implore you to do 3 courses that are research tools, right? We also require some in-house international crime and justice electives, just 3 credits. This is a list of courses that we offer, but it's not an exhaustive list. There are more classes that might be offered for the first time a particular semester. So for example, we have immigration and crime being offered for the first time in like 2 or 3 years. We also have victimology being offered for the first time in like 2 or 3 years. So we kind of rotate the classes that are available for electives, but for the most part, you'll probably find something that you like every semester. And then just 3 credits of general electives. So this is, again, anything that's 5,000 levels or higher. And, for the most part, you do need to get them approved, but that's by me. So whatever class that you're interested in, make sure that it checks out with me. So if you've done the math here, that's, quite a few credits. So 30 plus 18, that's 48, 48 plus 9, 57. That's 57 credits of just courses. So it's quite a few. Takes most people anywhere from about 3 to 4 years to complete the coursework if they're doing full-time status, right? After you've completed all the coursework, our program requires you to complete a comprehensive exam. The comprehensive exam is a 3-credit course that you'll take, and the traditional comprehensive exam is structured in a way that the student comes in and they have a full day of testing to figure out if they know the bare minimum of anything. But our program is different in the sense that we found that testing students on general material was not preparing them to be competitive in the workforce, was not preparing them to be competitive in the academic job market, right? So for the people who are interested in working in research firms as professors or anything like that, testing you on general stuff was great. But what really separates you from your other colleagues that are competing for these jobs is the number of research papers that you are a part of that you've published. So for us, the comprehensive exam is basically are you able to produce a publishable paper? So think of this as kind of like a mini dissertation, right? And when I say like any type of scholarly research that you've looked at, you'll see that within the criminal justice fields, they range between 25 and 35 pages, right? More or less. So we're hoping that you come up with something on your own that is about 25 to 30 pages, meaning introduction, method section, you actually conduct an analysis, you have meaningful results, and then you have a conclusion. And you'll have a committee of 3 faculty individuals who will determine whether or not you've satisfied those requirements. So it's not like we just throw you out in the water and expect you to know how to swim. No. You've created relationships through these 57 credits that you've taken with different faculty, and you've tried to figure out which ones you like, which ones you don't, which methods you're interested in. And so you're going to develop this comprehensive exam that way. Students generally take anywhere from 1 to 3 semesters to complete the comprehensive exam. We require that you complete it in no more than 3 semesters. The average, I would say, is about 2. If the student has been working on this at the beginning of their PhD process and has been thinking about their comprehensive exam since their very first class, maybe then they complete it in 1 semester. But for the most part, 2 seems to be about the average, right? And then next, what the student has to do once they pass the comprehensive exam, they'll go on to the dissertation. The dissertation, if the comprehensive exam is 25 to 35 pages, think of the dissertation as anywhere from 100 to 300 pages. It's a much more complete research paper. So it can be anywhere from, instead of 1 study, it might be 3 or 4 studies. It might be divided into several different chapters. Again, you will have a dissertation committee that will decide what is the best approach for the method in which you're trying to explore. We advise that for your comprehensive exam, you pick a topic, and then for your dissertation, to make it as easy and as streamlined for you, to stay on that same topic. Not saying that you have to stay on that same topic, but it will be much easier for you to go from your comprehensive exam into the dissertation because you all have already done all the reading that you've needed to do, right? Whereas if you're starting fresh on your dissertation, it's kind of like the last anywhere from six months to a year that you've been working on your comprehensive exam. Kind of, you've learned the techniques, you've learned the style, but now you've got to do all this extra reading now. So we implore you to stay on the same topic, but again, it's not required. I was one of those people who did a topic on one thing and is now doing something totally different.
No,
Right?
okay. It happens. I can understand.
It happens. So yeah, that's that. For the graduation requirements, it's 75 credits total, but remember that 57 of them are coursework, and the other credits, they will happen in time. You do not need to focus on, oh, when am I going to do all of these credits, blah, blah, blah. No, they will happen. Let's see. Here for the PhD program, we do offer graduate assistantships for some students. This is basically based on your application and whether or not we deem you as someone who might fit in a teaching assistant or a research assistant role. And these are really good because it does provide you funding for up to 4 years. It's not complete 100% funding for your classes, but it comes out to about 75% of all fees and tuition. So that's pretty good.
That is really good.
Yeah, yeah. So, some people complete the program in 4 years. Other students like me might be closer to year 5 or maybe even 6. You have up until 9 years to complete your PhD. That being said, you have up to 6 years to complete your master's degree. So keep those in mind. You can kind of see here more relevant documents if you want. The student handbook's always good to look at. The pathway to success is something I like to show students just because this document kind of breaks down everything I've said into a more, if you had to show this to your mom, right, and explain to
It'll
her
be
what
digestible. Yes.
exactly. So this is a good way to look at it from there. But you can review that on your own. Let's see. And then this document just kind of breaks down that comp and dissertation process even further. It's very extensive. when it decides to load. Um, this is kind of like, the things to consider when you're writing these items. So again, you can review that on your own. I think I am done with the information I'd like to share. Um, by all means, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to send me an email uh, at dmatthew@fiu.edu. I know it looks like a typo because it's missing the S in my last name, but that's FIU's way. You can only have up to 7 characters at your last name. So that's my email. Send me an email. You can just click on that link and it'll open up whatever email box you've got. And, shoot me a text. Let me know anything that's on your mind. Okay.
Awesome. We really appreciate it. I'll open up as well here for the students that we do have. If you guys have any questions, we do have a Q&A little box if you have any lingering inquiries. But for myself, I did want to ask, could you elaborate more on scholarship or FAFSA opportunities for these programs that you mentioned? Because I understand that master's and PhD programs can be a little taxing for students, and I wanted to give them as many like opportunities as they can to be funded.
Certainly. So with the master's program, you can definitely, or for either of these programs, actually, you can, go through FAFSA just as you would in your undergrad. They do not award you, they only award you loans. So that's something I should say outright. Um, if you go that route, if you're not paying for it yourself, you're probably going to use loans to pay for it. That's very normal. Definitely apply to FAFSA every year if that's the way that you plan to do it. Um, we do not offer the assistantships that I was mentioning to master students. Those assistantships are really reserved only for the PhD students. So with those being said, I believe that they award you annually. I think the total is about $21,000 per year. You are contractually obligated not to gain outside work because the idea is that we want you to be a full-time
Mhm.
student. So you're taking 3 courses a semester. You're doing a research assignment up to 20 hours of work per week, whether that's research or your teaching assistant positions. I'm sure that in some of your classes you've interacted with a teaching assistant from one of your classes, I'm sorry, with one of your faculty. So they might be, whether it's helping with a class or helping with a research. Um, that's what we recommend. You can always seek external fellowships or any other means of funding that you think would be relevant. I know that we have one student who has the what is it, the presidential fellowship, so an award offered by the White House administration, and that's how they pay for their PhD process. We have another student who is received a fellowship with the international writing community. I forget the exact name, but that's how they're funding their PhD process. So they're actually paired with an outside faculty member, not even within the department, but again, doing research that's relevant to their field.
That's great information. Like always, there's always scholarships out there. It's just a matter of you going out of your way to actually seek them out. There's many opportunities here at FIU. We offer hundreds of different scholarships that vary from undergraduate to graduate programs, and then you just have to see what you qualify for or could qualify in the future regarding your academic situation.
Absolutely.
But to wrap up things here, Mr. Matthews, I really appreciate it. I hope this information, well, for at least for myself, this is very educational. I'll 100% look into that PhD program, hopefully finish it in those 4 years. Not on certain individuals on the 6 year, 5 year track.
We'll go positive. We'll be optimistic and say 4 years.
But thank
Because
you for
if
the
you end up in
time.
5 years, you're not behind, right?
True, true. But thank you. I'll make sure to post this video online on our YouTube channel, and I'll send it to you so you can maybe present it to the CJ department. Thank you
Certainly.
for those that join us in person for the event, and I will conclude the video as of right now.
Does
Thank you.
anybody have questions before we go?
Yeah, feel free to ask us questions, or like always, send an email to Mr. Matthews himself. He'll be more than willing to answer any lingering questions you may have, or something that'd be a little bit too personal to actually answer here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna
But thank
just,
you, Ippolito, for inviting me, okay?
hey, no worries. Thank you.